Welcome to the Chemawa Indian Schools, a historical retrospective webinar. I am Lisa Harris, National Advisor to the Chemawa Indian School. It's my pleasure to serve during the Van Buren administration. I'm very excited to be here today to share the history of Chemawa, DAR's history with the school, and all of the great things going on there. Chemawa Indian School is the oldest continuously operating off-reservation Native American boarding school in the United States. Chemawa opened as Indian Industrial Training and Normal School on February 25th, 1880, as an elementary school in Forest Grove, Oregon, on land rented from Pacific University. It was the second such boarding school and was modeled after the Carlisle School, which had opened in Carlisle, Pennsylvania in 1879. At the time, the U.S. government's intention was to locate the schools far away from reservations and use immersive education to assimilate and integrate Native American children into mainstream society by forcing them away from their indigenous cultures and identities. The U.S. government's relationship with the Native tribes was extremely volatile at this time. The Wounded Knee Massacre would not occur until 10 years after the school opened. The Indian Training and Normal School opened with 18 students, and they were expected to build their own dormitories. The first location consisted of 5 acres, and the U.S. government quickly decided that this site was too small and unsuitable. Furthermore, the local Forest Grove community did not welcome the students and their visiting families and did not support expansion of the school. As a result, 5 years later, the school moved to its present location in the Mid-Willamette Valley, just north of Salem, Oregon. The 171-acre site was on the main Southern Pacific Railroad line, close to a post office designated as Chemawa. Originally known as Salem Indian Training School at Chemawa, it quickly became known as the Chemawa Indian School. There are several theories on the origin of the word Chemawa. Some scholars believe that the name references the part of the river where there are gravel deposits, allowing for easier crossing, while others believe that the name means happy home. The school prefers the happy home definition. At the new site, the students and staff were again expected to clear the land and build their own school and dormitories. The original buildings were wood, with brick buildings added later. In keeping with this, boys studied carpentry, masonry, blacksmithing, wagon making, as well as painting and baking. Girls were taught sewing, needlework, cooking, and other domestic arts. A dairy farm, livestock, and conventional farming provided food and additional education for the students. A nursing program was added in 1911. By 1922, there were 70 buildings on a 40-acre campus. A school library provided reading material, and students could participate in the sports of basketball, baseball, and football. In these early years, the students and staff also worked for local farmers picking hops. They used the money they made to purchase adjacent land and gifted it to the school. By 1947, the school site consisted of 457 acres. Today, interstate and highway expansion has reduced these holdings to about 300 acres, most of which is leased to local farmers. Chemawa began as an elementary school, with the first class to graduate completing the 6th grade in 1886. Through the years, grades were added and dropped, and the size of the student body rose and fell. In 1926, Chemawa enrollment peaked with almost 1,000 students. In 1927, the school dropped all classes for the lower grades and became a fully accredited high school. The school was threatened with closure during the Great Depression, but Oregon's congressional delegates and journalists lobbied the U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs to keep it open. Since then, the school has continued with between 300 and 400 high school students per year. The history of the school has been a journey that has not always been positive. Students in those early years were forbidden to speak their native languages, wear native clothes or hairstyles, and were not allowed to hold or participate in traditional ceremonies. The long road to change began in 1924 with the Indian Citizenship Act, which granted Native Americans citizenship in the United States. Although it was not until 1934, with the Indian Reorganization Act, that the policy of assimilation was officially dropped. The stated goal of this act was to strengthen, encourage, and perpetuate tribes and historic cultures. Sadly, however, according to researchers at the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition, this only meant that direct attempts to abolish the culture and traditions had mostly ended. The civil rights movement of the 1960s led to some significant Native American protests and change. By 1962, Native Americans were finally able to vote in all states. But it was not until the 1975, with the Indian Self-Determination Act, that Native Americans had any control over what was being taught to their children. In 1978, the Indian Religious Freedom Act was passed, and in 1990, Congress passed a law to protect Native languages. Chemawa Indian School is one of 4 high schools directly operated by the Bureau of Indian Education. Thankfully, the mission of the U.S. government's Bureau of Indian Education has changed a lot over the last 140 years. Now, BIE's mission is to provide quality education opportunities from early childhood through life in accordance with a tribe's needs for cultural and economic well-being, in keeping with the wide diversity of Indian tribes and Alaska Native villages as distinct cultural and governmental entities. Throughout its long and varied history, and despite where it began, Chemawa today is strong and vibrant, and the students are proud to be part of it. In the 1970s, a new campus was built close to the old one, and most of the old buildings were demolished. New dormitories were built in 2010. Today, the school has approximately 380 students. The Daughters of the American Revolution was founded in 1890 with the mission of promoting historic preservation, education, and patriotism. Chemawa Indian School was added to the DAR American Indians Committee approved schools in 1990 and is the only DAR supported school west of the Mississippi River. The partnership between the DAR and the Chemawa Indian School functions much like a booster club whose main role is to develop support for the student programs and supplement shrinking support resulting from federal budget cuts. Chemawa boasts a year-round athletic program, honors courses, and the Avid College Readiness Program. They have exceeded both the Bureau of Indian Education and Oregon State graduation requirements for the last several years. Chemawa partners with two local colleges, Chemeketa Community College and Willamette University, which include student mentoring and tutoring programs. Chemawa's students are unique, coming from over 23 different states and over 70 tribes, and as many or more educational systems across the country. The students are tested as they are admitted and are consistently 3 to 6 years behind grade level when compared to non-natives in the US. Chemawa takes each student where they are in strengths and weaknesses and attempts to grow them 1.5 to 2 grade levels per year. They do not look at state achievement scores, but at the individual student's growth of more than 1 grade year annually. To this end, greater than 80% of the students grow at over 1 year as compared to their non-native peers across the US. Chemawa Indian School's motto is One Chemawa, honoring our unique tribal cultures while we work as one people. One Chemawa, courageously rising to every challenge. One Chemawa, striving for excellence each day. One Chemawa, supporting each other to achieve success. One Chemawa, when one of us succeeds, we all succeed. We are Chemawa, strong and proud. Chemawa celebrates the students' native tribes, recognizing and celebrating tribal diversity, as well as the oneness of all Indigenous people, tribal self-determination, and respect for the interrelatedness of all peoples and life. At Chemawa, all students are required to take 2 culture classes, which include Native Literature, Native Histories, and Native Arts and Art History. Students are required to complete a senior project, which includes a hands-on project representing their tribe and cultural heritage. When the students are on campus, Chemawa hosts 1 round dance and 3 powwows a year for the students that are open to the general public. Students are encouraged to participate in drumming, singing, and dancing through the Performing Arts Club. Advanced art students are invited to add to the many murals displayed across campus. Students are encouraged to speak about and share their respective cultures and tribal differences with others. The students at Chemawa come from varied backgrounds. While some students come from rich tribes, nations, many more come from poor tribes, nations, families. A few students may come with just the clothes on their backs and duct tape keeping their shoes together. The school librarian keeps a stock of basic necessities, including school supplies, toiletries, underwear, bras, socks, and other basic items for students that need them. DAR chapters across the country help to provide these items for the grateful students. NSDAR provides support for Chemawa by providing funding for a general fund, grants, and a scholarship fund. Scholarships are awarded to the valedictorian and the salutatorian. In addition, DAR provides grants to the school for projects. The Chemawa DAR Club, made up of students that apply and must meet academic criteria to be a member, vote on which project they want the DAR to support. At the start of each school year, students, teachers, and staff members submit project requests with the guiding principle that whatever is chosen, it should benefit all of the students at the school. The students of the DAR Club choose which project is submitted for funding approval. In previous years, the NSDAR has supported projects that include bringing the snack bar up to code and new stage curtains for the auditorium. Grants have also been awarded to support traditional Native programs for teaching skills such as beadwork, drum making, regalia making, and other Native crafts. DAR support has helped the school purchase new computers and computer desks, bedding for the dorms, and athletic uniforms. Funds support the robotics program and sending students to Close Up, a high school trip to Washington, D.C. Close Up students are also provided with dress clothes to meet the Congresspeople, and their trip often includes a stop by the DAR national headquarters. DAR Club students are also responsible for planning the DAR Christmas Party, the biggest DAR event of the year, hosted by the students in the DAR Club. The DAR Club runs a contest each year for students to design the artwork for the school sweatshirt, which is voted on by all students. At the DAR Christmas Party, each student receives one of these sweatshirts with the winning design on the back, along with other gifts such as small luggage bags, reading books, and candy canes. At Christmas time, some chapters and states send gift bags, handmade scarves, and other small items to be given to the students. For 2019, the last time the students were on campus at Christmas, the party was held in the library instead of the cafeteria, and the students were given personalized bags. This allowed for a homier Christmas party than in previous years. The DAR Christmas Party is the only Christmas event on campus, and for some students, it may be the only Christmas they get. For the first time this coming Christmas, the Helen Pouch Memorial Fund, which finances projects chosen by our junior membership committee, will be fully funding the 2021 DAR Christmas Party, and that will include the sweatshirt for each student, refreshments, and other small gifts. Since March 2020, the students have been remote learning. The students being off campus was a blessing in the September 2020 wildfires that plagued Oregon. The school was able to provide housing for firefighters and incident commanders from across the state as they battled these blazes for over 2 months. The school reports that remote learning during the COVID-19 restrictions has been a challenge. Where boarding school is a more structured, more educationally centered environment, students can now be distracted by connection issues and by other responsibilities at home. The school has attempted to bridge the digital divide by providing computers and internet hotspots for all the students who needed them. However, many of the students are very remote, and even with the hotspots, they have experienced internet outages and had difficulties connecting. The school is working on structures and supports for when the students return to provide them with the remediation that they may need. Chemawa currently expects the students to return to campus in the fall. While the students are off campus, The Chemawa staff are working on two major projects. One is to create a fully functioning family and consumer studies program by transforming the current home economics kitchen classroom. 4 new kitchenettes have been built to support this new program. The curriculum will integrate childcare, culinary arts working up to catering, interior design, and other vocational pieces. The school is also setting up a new agricultural curriculum with the animals already on campus, which include 12 chickens, 2 ducks, 5 goats, and 3 cows, plus more that they plan to acquire. This is being created in partnership with the local 4-H club. They're working on building a new barn for their 3 cows, which are currently sheltered in a former athletic outbuilding that leans and floods when it rains. As the DAR's supported project for 2021, a $10,000 grant was provided to help with the cost of building a new barn for the cows. Chemawa's mission is to educate Native American high school students and help them reach their highest goals and prepare them for life beyond high school. To thousands of alumni, the history of Chemawa is one that was built by the hands of their forefathers. Many students come because their parents or grandparents attended school. Chemawa provides not only an education, but a lifetime of memories and friendships, a chance to bridge tribal differences, and receive a strong and well-rounded education. DAR has helped contribute to this mission over the last 31 years. It is a great privilege to help these students. DAR members are invited to tour the school and are encouraged to attend the school's powwows and graduation ceremonies. Thank you all for attending this evening. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Lisa, that was amazing. So informative. I had no idea. I learned a ton. So thank you for that. And we have questions for you.
Okay.
So first one, has the DAR made any statements regarding the unmarked graves discovered at Chemawa in recent years?
To date, the National Society has not made any statements as we are a nonpartisan organization. But the President General is well aware and is keeping a close eye on the events and the public prominence surrounding this topic, both here in the States and in Canada. One distinction between the Canadian schools and Chemawa is that the Canadian schools were largely run by churches with little oversight, while the US government-run boarding schools operate within a lot of rules and bureaucracy. At Chemawa, there are 208 marked graves, and the report of unmarked graves stems from a 2016 ground radar survey that identified 222 ground anomalies, which is obviously more than the 208 marked graves. However, this report also stated that there was no way to know if these anomalies were additional burials, tree roots, or even due to the ground shifting, since the cemetery is next to a swamp. The Chemawa graves, they start with burials in the 1880s. Many of those buried there are teachers or staff and their families. There are students buried there, specifically from an outbreak of smallpox and another from Spanish flu, because preservation methods of the 1800s prevented them from being returned home. I think it's important to note that the cemetery at Chemawa is still an active cemetery, with the most recent burial being last month.
Oh, wow.
The Oregon Native American tribes also use the cemetery at Chemawa for repatriation of remains, and they're scheduled to have another burial there in August. The school is very proud that the Oregon tribes feel good about the cemetery. Um, there are ceremonies there often, and most recently, the school installed a guardian totem to watch over all who are buried there. The U.S. government did announce last month a new initiative to review all the documentation for current and former boarding school site cemeteries, which would include Chemawa. The school hasn't heard exactly what this means for them, but they do welcome any investigation.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Next question. How do we respond to our members when asked about supporting Chemawa with the recent reporting of the history of Indian residential boarding schools?
When responding to members about supporting Chemawa in light of the history of residential boarding schools, acknowledge that the history of these boarding schools is traumatic. It's tragic, it's heartbreaking, and it's difficult to face up to the fact that this was our nation's history. For much of the time that Chemawa has been operating, the boarding school system was not a positive one. But for Chemawa, it really has come full circle. All of the students that come to Chemawa choose to attend the school. They must meet certain criteria, and not all the students who apply are accepted. The students' individual cultures and identities are celebrated and protected. Chemawa gives these students a chance to get a great education and helps them form friendships and bonds that will last a lifetime. Chemawa's mission is to teach these students and set them up to be successful in whatever they do. Chemawa's support, or DAR's support for Chemawa, is about the students. It's about our mission of education. And the support that we provide gives these kids opportunities that they might not have otherwise, like being part of the Oregon High School robotics program competition, or even something as simple as providing prom attire to those who might not have dress clothes. Um, the students at Chemawa are so grateful for everything that we do. The DAR does really great things for these kids, and it would be a shame to stop supporting them because of how their ancestors were treated.
Right. That's awesome. Okay, next question. Do these students come from tribal lower educational schools? And then when they graduate, are they up to non-Chemawa high schools levels?
Yes, they come from so many different educational levels, educational programs, and that's why Chemawa has to take them individually where they are and grow them. Um, there are They realize that not all students are going to attend college, but for those that are college bound, there are so many opportunities. The college kids come to the campus and um, tutor the students and they mentor them. And yes, by the time they graduate, they are on a level with all other Oregon graduates.
That's awesome. So actually leading on to that, then do most of the high school graduates at Chemawa go on to college or military?
That's one question that I am not sure of the answer. I'm not sure
Okay.
the percentage on those.
Do you want to get that and we'll put it in the final Q&A? Can you?
Absolutely.
Cool. So it'll be posted in the final Q&A. You have to look for that there next Tuesday. All right, next question. I saw an article about the salmon dying due to the drought near Klamath and that a Native American tribe has been hit very hard as this is their main source of food. Are we helping them?
That is one question. I have not seen that article and I am not aware of their need,
Okay.
but
All
I
right.
can certainly present it to the DAR.
Cool. All right, we'll look into it. And if we can find an answer, Lisa will put it in the final Q&A. Next question. Are there records of past students? My grandmother was from the, I don't know how it's pronounced, Karuk tribe in Northern California. She was there for 5 years from around 1918 to 1921.
Yes. I don't know how to access those records. I can find out. But yes, I know that being a U.S. government run school, there are a lot of records.
Would they just maybe contact the school directly?
Quite possibly, yes.
Okay, try the school, Kathy. Okay, here's my favorite one. Wow, at least I now know how to properly pronounce Chemawa. I'm with you. I learned that the other day. I would like to share that my grandfather and his wife attended and graduated from Carlisle Indian Industrial School, and my great uncle, my grandfather's younger brother, attended Chemawa and played on a number of athletic teams for the school. And as a DAR member, I am so proud we are connected to Chemawa.
Very cool.
All right. Here's another FYI. Their Indian education coordinator in Great Falls attended Chemawa and his father taught there. He presented to their chapter and received a wonderful education at Chemawa.
Very nice.
Oh, I guess the student archives are also in the national, student records are in the National Archives. FYI. Question, do they sell the sweatshirts online?
I honestly don't think so. I'm on their Facebook page, and I've seen other people ask about certain Shamawa um, things that they have, like their Shamawa pillows and certain stuff. But I
Mhm.
think they are only available to the students, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is Suzanne. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Suzanne
Yes,
Hester.
they do only make a certain number of them, and they are for the students and whatever's left over for the staff. So it is a very limited amount. But I will make one announcement that the junior membership committee is actually selling a T-shirt as a fundraiser with the DAR schools, and both Bacone and Chemawa are included on that T-shirt. So just an FYI.
How fun. That's awesome. Okay. One more is asking you to give your contact information again. Your contact information is on the American Indians Committee web pages. You can go to their contact page, and I would believe that Lisa is listed there.
Yes.
Fabulous. So there's someone who wants to talk with you. Go ahead and contact her through the web page. Another question. Besides hosting a Christmas party, what else are the juniors using the money for that they're giving to Chemawa?
This year there was the DAR Club supported project was the $10,000 to assist with building the barn for the cows.
Okay.
But
And then
in the past, it's been they helped bring the snack bar up to code. It wasn't within Oregon's guidelines. They provided the auditorium curtains.
okay, wow, nice.
Yeah, we've also helped with things like new girls volleyball uniforms. We've helped to fund the robotics program. We've helped to fund a large array of things. I also did want to mention that if anyone is interested, that you can now find items on Amazon that Chemawa, they have a want list, a needs list, so you can find both Chemawa and Bacone College now have that link to Amazon, so you can go ahead and take a look there if you are interested in the types of things that they're looking for.
Great. Okay, and then just several people writing in and saying, thank you, this was super informative, and they've learned a ton. So Mission accomplished, madam. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for
Thank
this.
you
And
so much. Thank you
that's
for
it on the
having me.
question. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wait, one more came in. Hang on. What sort of engagement with parents and Native American tribes in the area does the school have?
They do just like a normal school or just like the school you would think of. They have parent-teacher conferences, and they actually do sometimes go out to the tribes, like to the parents, and to communicate with them. There's also a parent portal that they can look at online, um, which has, grades and things that parents would like to know.
Okay. Great. All right. So last announcement is this has been recorded and it will be posted next Tuesday to the webinar library. If you do have additional questions, please contact Lisa Harris through the committee webpage. So go to the contact page and you can find her information there, or you can watch the video again and find her information in there. And otherwise, Lisa and Suzanne, thank you so much. This was super informative and it will be posted next Tuesday along with the script and the Q&A, written Q&A that Lisa will get the answers to all the questions written down. So thank you everyone for attending, and Lisa, and Suzanne, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.